I got another video to watch. Well, it's a follow-up, I guess, to the Baldur's Gate 3 thing. And the title of the video is Baldur's Gate 3 Controversy Goes Nuclear. Plus, another developer blames fans. Plus, IGN discredits ENDYMIOntv. So let's take a look at that.
What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and I've decided to give the BG3 controversy some time to simmer, but I think it's time to address some interesting revelations that have come to light. So in this video, I'll be covering all the new information surrounding this discussion, but first I want to start by talking about, well, actually myself, which is kind of weird. My first Baldur's Gate 3 video has gone viral, I guess you could say, and it ended up driving a ton of discussion surrounding the controversy. And eventually, the video got referenced by IGN in their video that covers the same topic. Destin Legary, who works at IGN, even shouted me out in the description section.
I knew that motherfucker watched the video. I knew he did it. Okay, now this makes more sense. At least he credited him too.
But I was quickly removed after people noticed my name. I would assume this was done because my channel and my way of thinking isn't exactly welcomed in the various echo chambers within the games industry. I don't find it insulting that I was removed either.
Didn't Smile say, remember when we were watching this and Smile said, everyone has the same opinions, and I said, no, people with different opinions just get buried?
I would assume this was done because my channel and my way of thinking isn't exactly welcomed in the various echo chambers within the games industry. I don't find it insulting that I was removed either, since unfortunately when it...
So I think that's a good example. Maybe he didn't get buried, but he's got an unsavory opinion, so the IGN guy took him out of the description or whatever.
Comes to channels like my own, saying the quiet part out loud constantly tends to piss off the people who don't want those opinions vocalized. So I was likely discredited because I am what the gaming industry hates, basically. Alright, now let's get on to the news, and I want to use this chance to extend a help.
All opinions you hear from me today are actually my cat. He's telling me everything to say. So every hot take you ever heard me say is from him, actually. So don't come after me.
Helping hand. So hopefully people who hate me actually watch long enough to see that I'm actually trying to help. Obviously, this entire controversy has stirred the gaming industry into a frenzy, with devs saying fans are wrong for wanting more, and fans becoming more frustrated that the industry that they love refuses to meet their demands. So let's start with this article from Rock Paper Shotgun titled, Baldur's Gate 3 is Metacritic's highest rated PC game ever, but devs are rejecting cheap comparisons. RPS summarizes the events that led to this moment and how the disparity between consumers and developers are growing with every new release. They then cite one developer named Gary J. King, who I actually think brings up some good points. He started by saying, and I quote, "None of these developers are defending the status quo of AAA here. They're contextualizing the status quo, explaining how things came to be this way and why Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly in the space. They're saying that if we want more BG3s, something needs to change. This idea of lowering our expectations is key to this. The AAA industry is increasingly moving towards greater scopes and bigger budgets, ballooning dev times. A single failure can sink a studio, years of people's lives and millions of dollars burned away. More risk equals less risk taking."
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I hate this. Like, I know that indie games exist, but I guess because of the people who are involved, like these big companies, they want a big payout, right? So you get this like, it's like almost like the movie industry or something. Like, maybe I'm totally off base here, but they put so much money into it. Like, I don't feel like games need to be these like ridiculously huge releases. Although I guess Baldur's Gate 3 is kind of one of, like, almost a pretty huge big release, but like, I don't know. I think, cat, come on, buddy, you distracted me. This is my job now, buddy. Fucking me up. Like, it just sucks. Like, they don't need to be huge, especially like graphics and like animations. Like, I don't give a fuck about realistic animations and graphics. I like stylized graphics. I like pixel art even when it's done well. Like all these games, sort of, even Final Fantasy, like, oh, why does Final Fantasy 16 have like, I don't want to say it looks realistic, but it's less stylized, and I don't like it. It's got like more leaning into a more realistic look instead of a stylized, cool anime look or something. Not that Final Fantasy is like really anime, but like when I think of Final Fantasy 7, I picture it in my mind, even though they look like Lego men, I picture it more in a chibi style anime, like early 90s chibi anime kind of style. So it's unfortunate that I think that there's such an emphasis on graphics instead of it being stylized, and voice acting, like all these things that I don't think are that big of a deal, that I think they could cut back on to make a more fun experience. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of like lost track of what my point was, but you know, whatever.
So let's start with this article from Rock Paper Shotgun titled, Baldur's Gate 3 is Metacritic's highest rated PC game ever, but devs are rejecting cheap comparisons. RPS summarizes the events that led to this moment and how the disparity between consumers and developers are growing with every new release.
I already said this, but you guys weren't here. If you hear me say any hot takes, it's not me, it's the cat. He's telling me what to say. He's the one saying Xenogears sucks. Okay, he's the one who's getting mad online about it. It's not me. He just tells me what to do, what to say. It's our secret. It's him. Look at his face. Yeah. You think it's me? Look at that's a face that says Xenogears is shit. Not me. Okay.
They then cite one developer named Gary J. King, who I actually think brings up some good points. He started by saying, and I quote, "None of these developers are defending the status quo of AAA here. They're contextualizing the status quo, explaining how things came to be this way and why Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly in the space. They're saying that if we want more BG3s, something needs to change. This idea of lowering our expectations is key to this. The AAA industry is increasingly moving towards greater scopes and bigger budgets."
Yeah, so this is what I was trying to say. Like, it's unfortunate, right, that these big companies got involved, or these CEOs or whatever, that want a bigger and bigger return. It's so weird that they want to, like, it's so hard to express all of this, but their idea to push things forward, like, oh, if we're going to put in all this money, we're going to put it into graphics, voice acting, and like, you don't need that shit. I want more stylized shit, more stylized graphics. I don't even really like how Baldur's Gate 3 looks. It's generic. Now, that's kind of fine because it's kind of generic looking, right? Like generic fantasy, but D&D is like, basically is generic fantasy, right? Like, I don't know, but a lot of games go for this. Like, I don't want to say Baldur's Gate 3 or Final Fantasy 16 look realistic, but it's not as stylized, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's sort of like, it's all looks the same. And you don't have to blow your load with motion capture and anime. I mean, I think motion capture probably ends up being cheaper than animating shit yourself, but like, you don't have to have a bajillion frames of animation, amazing voice acting, and all this shit. That's not why I play games, right? I don't play Resident Evil 2. I don't have 1,000 hours of Resident Evil 2 because the graphics blow my mind and because the fucking voice acting is good, right? Mechanically, the game's pretty simple even. Like, you could probably fucking translate that into an NES game, to be honest. And I know, like, the indie developers kind of fill that niche I'm talking about. It's just like, it doesn't have to be this, like, crazy AAA thing. It's like, oh, it's like getting to this point where it's like unsustainable. AAA games, the gameplay has stagnated, I feel like, right? They all turn into these like experiences, like Tomb Raider and oh my god, Nathan Drake, or like The Last of Us. These aren't like mind-blowing games gameplay wise. They're just like have these dumb narratives. They have these set pieces. They have these like ladder puzzles. You push a thing. They have push block puzzles, man. That's not fun. Push block puzzle, cutscene, action set piece with real basic combat, cutscene. push a dumpster cutscene. Like, it sucks, right? Why did that become the norm? Even fucking Wayfinder, right? How many fucking games? You guys don't even I'm gonna try out Wayfinder, but like Wayfinder is just another like third-person game. You get 3 abilities that all get matched on the face buttons of a controller or whatever. I'm guessing. I think it's 3 abilities. You get like 3 abilities in ultimate, right? Why is that the norm? Why can't you make the game a little like different or more in-depth than that? It's crazy, dude. Like, everything is so formulaic. It sucks. A lot of entertainment industries are reaching a point where the budget is way too high and the publishers are playing it at a way too safe because of it. Eventually the bubble will burst and they'll have to go smaller. Yeah, like, why it's aren't you all tired of the safe bet? Do any of you actually care about Starfield? No, that game is gonna suck. It's just Oblivion in space. They doing it again, dude. Jeez.
A single failure can sink a studio, years of people's lives and millions of dollars burned away. More risk equals less risk taking. The industry conditions that birthed Larian and let them hone their craft over several games before they made Baldur's Gate 3 no longer exist. That's why it's unreasonable to expect this to become the new standard. We literally want the same thing as you. If IGN had read the discussion being had in good faith, they'd have known all of this. Instead, they put their stock in some shittier gaming YouTubers that thrive on anything that stokes discontent towards developers. They even credit these guys in the video description, end quote. By the way, when he said shittier gaming YouTubers, he means people like me. It's not—
Oh, and me now. Even though I have like 30 subs. Yeah, I'm throwing my hat in the ring here, dude. I don't know though. I don't know too much about this guy in particular. He seems like he's got some hot takes or whatever, so I'm down to listen to him. I like hot takes. I'm a hot take machine. I mean, my cat is, not me.
What these devs really do think when people actually push back, so thank you for that. Anyway, Gary starts off, I think, saying the right thing, which is that the way in which Baldur's Gate came to be is an anomaly, and that if people want more games like it, the industry does need to change. He's right that the AAA industry is definitely moving towards larger budgets and ballooning dev time. And it's true that the risk that is big budget games is so great that it's also the reason why the AAA industry can't take as many risks. This is why most AAA games are either a first-person shooter, an open-world game, or both pretty much. They have to stick to what works and what they believe will ensure enough people will want to buy the product. It's also why you'll likely never see a visual novel game with the budget of, say, God of War, for obvious reasons. But the part I have a problem—
That's another one you can throw in that ring of like cinematic set piece, barely any gameplay kind of game, like that Tomb Raider game everyone sucks its dick. You know what's crazy about Tomb Raider? I don't know, maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Tomb Raider got all this flack for being too sexualized, but then it turned into, like, from what I can tell, and this isn't necessarily my own opinion, I've definitely just heard other people say this before, but it turned into this, like, that newer, maybe 2014 Tomb Raider or whatever. It's like torture porn. Like, why is that? It's just strange. I'm climbing a mountain too. But like, that's not fun. I guess I know that's probably to disguise loading times and shit. Why is all of that game climbing? Like, every time I see a game, they're climbing. It sucks. Last I heard, you were talking about Tomb Raider becoming torture porn. Only the first game in the trilogy was like that. I thought it was weird that, like, everyone made a big deal about her being sexualized, but I don't see the problem. We're kind of going off on a tangent, but like, what the fuck? Who cares if characters are sexualized? Like, right? Sex sells or whatever, you know what I mean? Especially nowadays, women are sexualizing the shit out of themselves. Like, every person on Twitter is advertising their fucking OnlyFans to me. Like, who cares? Like, I scroll through Twitter and I have to look at someone's disgusting pussy. Like, I don't even follow that shit. All of a sudden, I'm scrolling through Twitter, and there's some fucking, like, someone who's probably shouldn't be as proud of themselves as they are. I'm gonna say that as nice as possible. Fucking doing one of these. And here's my feet. And they got a face, and it's just like, it's not good looking. If you're not, okay? I'm being nice. It don't look good. I wouldn't advertise. It reminds me of, like, looking at my, like, if I got, like, a rash from walking around too long and I want to check it out on my ass cheeks and I'm spreading my ass in the mirror, it's that appealing. I'm just being honest. Here's a question. Should I start an OnlyFans? Do you guys want me to spread my ass? And would you pay for that? Yeah, this is my cat, by the way. This isn't me. My cat has a job and he gets his asshole chafes. Am I gonna get banned now because you saw the bottom of my foot? Is that like sexual content? Is that okay? Every time I do these reaction videos, I don't know if it's because I have ADD or what. I just go completely off the rails. Now I'm talking about my feet. Like, what the fuck happened?
Sven is right again, since unlike many of these other devs, he's not looking to pull others down or attack them. He fully acknowledges that his team and their game will set a new standard, and he hopes that its existence doesn't damage or ruin the industry, but instead shows others that it's possible to still make great games and take risks. Ultimately, I think what these devs that are against this are doing is that they're taking the wrong lessons away from this. Like I've said in previous videos about this, we don't expect every game to be Baldur's Gate 3 in terms of size. But what we do and should expect is to receive a fully functioning product if we're also expected to pay a full price for said product. That shouldn't be controversial or sacrilegious to say. I also made a joke on Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it these days about this too. This entire situation would be like if you were in a restaurant eating a really good meal, and then out of nowhere, tons of chefs from nearby restaurants rushed your table and started yelling that you shouldn't expect them to meet your expectations. We're not asking you to make the next industry standard every time. We just want you to meet our expectations in terms of your product working and being worth the money that we spend on it. Look, I
honestly think this is a good opinion because a lot of fucking games come out, and this isn't just Western developers. A lot of Japanese devs don't know how to like make a fucking PC port. And a lot of weebs defend the shit out of it. Like Persona 5 is like a really bad port and still got really good reviews on Steam. And it like doesn't fucking, it runs at like 15 FPS and shit sometimes, like in the cities and shit. Like why? A lot of Japanese devs can't fucking make PC ports. It's so infuriating. And they have like no options in the you can't even like change the resolution sometimes. Like, it's crazy. So it's not just Western devs, like, they have their own issues, but like, I'm not going to sit here and act like Japanese developers are like the best or whatever, because a lot of their PC ports are horrible. If we're going to talk about standards, like maybe make a fucking PC port that works as a start. You know what I mean? At least for Japanese developers, I don't know. A lot of them are really bad. Or like Square, like releasing like the shit they release as far as like their legacy products. Like when they brought Chrono Trigger over and it was just like straight to like phone port to PC. Like, what are you doing? You don't have any respect for this, for these like classic. These are huge games, dude. Like, for your company, especially like Square, like Chrono Trigger and like Final Fantasy VII. Like I understand you lost the source code for Final Fantasy VII, but like that Final Fantasy VII on PC is so bad. Like you have to use mods to make that look acceptable. In my opinion, like you have to use the Nino style shit and the upscales, the AI upscaled stuff for it to even look okay, in my opinion. Otherwise, you might as well just play it on PC or an emulator, or on PlayStation 1 or an emulator. Like, where's the respect for your, I don't know, legacy or like these super classic games? Or like that Final Fantasy, remember that Final Fantasy 6 remake they did? I'm not talking about the pixel remasters, the one before that. And it was like a phone game with like horrible chibi art, like pixel art. That's like, what are you doing? Have some respect for your like legacy, dude. I don't know.
May be, as some of you say, a shitty gaming YouTuber, but try to understand that when I make these videos, I'm not looking to attack this industry. I love video games. I love this industry with all my being because I truly believe.
Well, I think as far as Diablo 4, them complaining about the way they said, because Blizzard says they can't add stash. They're like, we can't add stash because the way stash works, you're literally loading everyone's stash. And it's like, why though? Because PoE can do it. Why can't you do that? I think that's what where the problem comes from. I don't think it's necessarily about them selling the stash, the added stash, but I don't know. Open mouth Sephiroth is base though? No, it's not. Come on. Come on, dude. I know you're memeing, but I'm gonna fart in your mouth, okay? I'm gonna fart in Sephiroth's mouth. Right after he kills Aerith and he's just like got that derpy ass face. What are you doing? It would be nice if Diablo 2 had some more stash space, but I'm sure purists would I'm a bit of a purist myself when it comes to Diablo 2, like people wanting like there's a lot of Diablo 3 players that like are really loud on the Blizzard forums about Diablo 2 remastered, and the things they want are just like, dude, just go play Diablo 3. Like I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be a terrible, it probably would be a terrible idea with current Blizzard, but it might be cool if they released a new expansion for Diablo 2, which added inventory space, like it does in Path of Diablo, like a trinket space. What are they called? You know, things that give you buffs or whatever. I forget what they're called, but yeah, charms. Thank you. If they added like a charm, if they did like an expansion for Diablo 2 Resurrected, like they added a charm inventory, that would be cool. And they could still have it like the seasons wise, they could just have it so there's Lord of Destruction, and like they already have vanilla Diablo 2 ladder and Lord of Destruction ladder. So I don't think it would be a huge problem if you added like new expansion ladder too on top of that, so people didn't lose their minds, but that might be cool. I don't know if you did like an expansion. People are always bitching about the fucking inventory in Diablo 2. Do a fucking charm inventory for the expansion. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Believe video games are the ultimate frontier when it comes to entertainment.
Rip off Diablo 2 or Path of Diablo.
Comes close in terms of enjoyment for me when compared to it. Music, movies, it doesn't matter. Video games to me outdoes it all. I am just frustrated, like many others, that we're all having to walk on eggshells constantly instead of properly talking about and addressing the problems at hand. So if we're willing to have a conversation about the ethics of gaming and player expectations, maybe don't block or censor anyone who disagrees with you in response. Because by acting like as a game dev or executive that you are some amazing being standing on Mount Olympus, and we're all just lowly humans who must bow to your greatness, it's just not how this works. Your industry, your livelihood, and your ability to do what you do is determined by us. It's not the other way around. And remember that no matter how high and mighty you might think you are, even gods can be defeated. So try to understand that this is not about attacking the industry, but this is truly at its core about fixing an industry we all love before it collapses beyond repair. So instead of attacking your fan base, maybe for once, listen and try not to be an asshole. I think that's a good start.
That depends, because there's a lot of bad, like especially when going back to Diablo 2 remastered, resurrected, like some of these people shouldn't be listened to, okay? I can tell you that right now. But yeah, maybe listen to some of them, but definitely not all of them, especially about Diablo 2. But yeah, that was, I can't say this guy's name, but if you want to check out his video, I don't know. I don't have a negative opinion about him or anything. Also, remember, all the opinions you've heard here today were actually my cat's hot takes, not mine. It's so funny seeing people being like shocked about seasons. Like you can like just tell who's never really played Diablo all that much. My favorite example of someone being like, oh, I'm a huge Diablo fan. I remember I watched a review of Diablo 2 Resurrected, and this guy was like, he's like, I have thousands of hours in Diablo 2. And I was like, no, you don't, you fuck. I made a comment in his video. I was like, this guy's full of shit. For starters, he doesn't have thousands of hours in Diablo 2. And I know this because he was dragging and dropping pots onto his belt individually. And he said that respecking was a new feature. I was like, this dude doesn't have thousands of hours in Diablo 2. That's horse shit. No one with thousands of hours of Diablo 2 is dragging and dropping pots into their fucking belt. That's ridiculous. And I had push. People were like, how do you know? Maybe he just forgot. You ever do something for thousands of hours and forgot? No, that's ridiculous. No, you don't. That's such bullshit. That's like riding a bike and forgetting it had brakes. That's so stupid. So what do you think? Are my cat's hot takes too spicy? Should I start an OnlyFans? Let me know in the comments below. Also, consider subscribing to my channel and checking me out at twitch.tv/Jackafur. And I'm sorry, and when I'm watching these videos and reacting to them, when something gets said, it makes me think, like, I'll focus on one thing and it makes me think of something else, and then I start talking about it. If that's annoying, let me know. Is it entertaining? I don't know. I try my best to stay like on the topic being discussed, but I don't know. I can't help but go off the rails sometimes. But anyway, thanks for watching.